Port Charles woke up to a rumor that spread faster than anyone could control. A short video clip, recorded inside a hospital room at General Hospital, had somehow made its way onto several phones across town. No one knew who shared it first, but everyone knew who was in it. Willow. In the clip, she stood beside her husband's hospital bed, clearly upset and speaking in a tone that surprised anyone who had always seen her as calm and compassionate. Her frustration spilled out in a way that felt deeply personal and painfully public once the footage began circulating. Kai hadn't intended for the recording to go this far. He had captured the moment out of concern, thinking it might help explain a tense situation later if needed. But once the clip left his hands, it took on a life of its own. By mid-morning, whispers filled the hallways of General Hospital. Nurses exchanged glances. Doctors pretended not to know what others were talking about, even as their phones buzzed with messages. At the Metro Court, Carly and Nina both watched the video with disbelief. They had known Willow for years, but this version of her felt unfamiliar, overwhelmed, emotional, and clearly struggling under pressure. Drew, still recovering in his hospital bed, had no idea the moment had been recorded. When he learned about it, his first reaction wasn't anger, it was concern. He knew how much stress Willow had been under and feared that this public exposure would only make things worse. Meanwhile, Kai felt the weight of what had happened. He hadn't meant to humiliate Willow. He hadn't expected the clip to spread beyond a private circle. Now he realized the consequences were bigger than he imagined. Willow soon became aware that people were looking at her differently. Conversation stopped when she entered rooms. The usual warmth from friends felt replaced with awkward silence. Feeling cornered, she confronted Kai. "Did you record me?" she asked, her voice steady but hurt. Kai admitted the truth. He explained why he had done it, but the explanation didn't erase the damage. Trust had been broken. As the day unfolded, the real issue began to surface. It wasn't just about the video. It was about what had led to that moment in the hospital room, the stress, the fear, and the emotional strain Willow had been carrying for weeks. By evening, several people in Port Charles began to see the situation differently. The clip didn't show the full story. It showed a single moment taken out of context, and that realization changed everything. The focus slowly shifted from judging Willow to understanding what she was going through, but the question remained: who had shared the video so widely, and why? The search for the source of the leak became the new focus in Port Charles. Kai retraced every step after he recorded the clip. He had only shown it to one person, hoping for advice on how to handle what he'd witnessed. That person insisted they never shared it. Still, the video had clearly moved beyond a small circle and into the hands of half the town. At General Hospital, administrators were forced to address the situation. Reminders about privacy and respect were quietly circulated among staff. The last thing the hospital needed was a scandal tied to a patient's room. Willow, meanwhile, felt the pressure building from all sides. She stayed close to her husband's bedside, determined not to let the outside noise affect her care for him. But every time her phone buzzed, her heart raced, wondering who else had seen the clip. Drew tried to reassure her. He reminded her that one difficult moment didn't define who she was. Still, he could see how deeply the situation was affecting her. Carly paid a Willow visit, not to judge, but to listen. Their conversation was honest. Willow admitted she had been overwhelmed and scared of losing control of everything in her life. Carly understood more than she let on. Port Charles had a way of pushing people to their limits. At the Metro Court, speculation continued. Some believed the video was released intentionally to damage Willow's reputation. Others thought it was simply careless handling of something private. Then a new detail emerged. Someone had edited the original clip. A few seconds had been removed, seconds that might have shown a very different side of the conversation in that hospital room. The edited version made Willow's frustration look harsher than it actually was.
That discovery changed the tone of the conversation across town. Kai realized the version spreading around wasn't exactly what he recorded. He still had the original file on his phone. When he compared the two, the difference was clear. The video had been altered. Now the issue was no longer just about a private moment going public. It was about someone deliberately shaping the narrative. Willow, though still hurt, felt a small sense of relief. The truth hadn't been fully shown, and that meant she still had a chance to set things right. But the biggest question loomed over everyone. Who had access to the video long enough to change it? And what did they hope to gain by turning Port Charles against Willow?
The revelation that the clip had been altered sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Kai knew he had to act fast. If the wrong people controlled the narrative, Willow's reputation and her marriage could suffer irreparable damage. He called Drew and explained everything, including the changes he noticed in the viral version. Drew, still recovering in the hospital bed, felt a mix of anger and helplessness. Willow, meanwhile, decided she couldn't hide anymore. She requested a private meeting with key friends, Carly, Nina, and Jason, to set the record straight. She wanted the truth out before rumors could spiral further. It was time to confront whoever was behind the editing. As they gathered in a quiet room at the Metro Court, Willow's resolve was clear. "I'm not asking anyone to excuse my emotions," she said, "but what's circulating isn't the whole story. Someone is trying to make me look worse than I am, and I intend to find out who." Carly exchanged a look with Kai. "You're right. Whoever did this wants to divide everyone and make you take the fall. We can help." The first lead came from the hospital's security footage. Kai had been discreetly checking cameras to track who had access to the video after he recorded it. One particular staff member caught his attention, someone who'd been near the storage room where the file had been left. It wasn't just a staff member's curiosity, it looked intentional. Someone had taken the video, edited it, and leaked it strategically. Meanwhile, the viral clip continued to circulate on social media in Port Charles, sparking debates and arguments. But a growing number of people, seeing the hints of tampering, started questioning the authenticity. Slowly, whispers of doubt began to replace outright judgment. Willow knew the next step was crucial, confronting the person responsible. With Kai and Drew supporting her, she set a plan in motion to uncover the culprit without causing more chaos. As night fell, Port Charles seemed quiet, but the tension was far from over. Someone had started this storm, and Willow was determined to end it on her own terms. The question lingering in everyone's mind, who would be exposed next, and would the town ever trust the hospital again? If you want, I can write the final explosive confrontation, continuation, where Willow discovers exactly who manipulated the video and how the fallout hits Port Charles. Do you want me to do that? The confrontation came sooner than anyone expected. Willow, Kai, Drew, and a few trusted allies gathered in a small private room at General Hospital. The tension was thick. Every second felt like it could erupt into chaos. Kai held the original video on his phone, ready to reveal the truth. "I know someone edited this," Willow's voice steady, "and I want to know who and why." A knock at the door interrupted them. Security had brought in a staff member, a technician who had access to the hospital's recording system. Their face went pale when Willow stepped forward. "I know what you did. You didn't just watch. You changed the video before letting it out. Why?" The technician stammered, trying to deny it, but the evidence was undeniable. The metadata on the files, the altered timestamps, and the security logs all pointed directly to them. "It was just a joke," the technician muttered. "I didn't think it would spread like that." But the room was silent. No one was laughing. Drew's expression hardened, and Willow's eyes narrowed. "This wasn't a joke. You made it look like I was worse than I am. You put my marriage, my reputation, and my life in the hands of a lie." Kai stepped forward, holding up the original recording. "Here's the truth. Compare it. See the difference." Everyone in the room watched as the original footage played. Willow's frustration was real, but it was brief and understandable. The edited version, however, had cut moments that showed her concern, her care, and her love. The contrast was shocking. By the end, even the technician realized the severity of what they had done. Consequences came fast. The hospital administration suspended the technician, and the footage was traced and removed from all social media accounts that had received it. Apologies were issued, both private and public, as people who had judged Willow began to understand the real story. Willow, though shaken, felt a sense of relief. Her name was cleared, and Drew finally looked at her with renewed trust. Kai, who had recorded the video with good intentions, learned a hard lesson about privacy and responsibility. And Port Charles, the town had been reminded how quickly rumors could spread and how dangerous a single moment could become if taken out of context. By the end of the day, Willow stood by Drew's side in his hospital room, holding his hand, feeling stronger than ever. The ordeal was over, but the lesson remained clear. Truth matters, and the people who try to twist it will eventually be exposed. If you want, I can also write an aftermath episode story showing how Port Charles reacts in the days following the viral scandal, full of drama, alliances, and surprising reconciliations. Do you want me to do that?